Next up, we have Casha de Vos from ABALOBI. She's an international project manager, and she's going to be speaking about supporting small-scale fisher communities through ABALOBI's Monitor app, which is a tech-infused grassroots approach to data collection and use. So welcome, Casha.
Hello. Morning, everyone. Thank you very much for having me today. As Janelle said, I'm from ABALOBI. I am an international projects manager, and my work has primarily been focused on ABALOBI Monitor. So what is Monitor? It's an approach that we use to engage fishers in community-driven data collection tools. So just before we kick off, I want to start off with what ABALOBI is. We are a social enterprise. We started in Cape Town, South Africa, and have slowly grown our reach globally. Why small-scale fisheries for us? Firstly, we find that communities, particularly in South Africa, have been quite marginalized and excluded from everything from policymaking to market access. And so this is really one of the gaps we'd like to bridge in the industry. I think Echo stole a lot of my thunder with explaining the problem statement in fisheries. They contribute to a large portion of global catches. Again, really important for food security and nutritional value within these communities, and really form the backbone of economic growth in rural areas. And so that is an exciting part of work for us, is to bridge a lot of those gaps in supply chains and data collection. So what is our solution? Firstly, we build a lot of technology tools, be that ABALOBI Monitor, ABALOBI Fisher, and I'll dive into a few of those tech platforms. We focus on community-supported fisheries. So someone asked in the co-design session yesterday, where is the presence of the producer on the packaging, on the front end, on the consumer-facing end? And that's a problem that we have tried to address. There's a QR code associated with all of our products that you can scan and see exactly who caught that fish, where it was caught, from which community it's from, and more about that in my colleagues Cara and Griselda's talks later on. So please join in for those if you are interested. We also work in financial inclusion, financial services, fisheries improvement projects, but I'm not going to steal my colleague's thunder, so I'm going to dive right into our tech platforms. So we have ABALOBI Fisher, which is an individual e-logbook style platform, which fishers use to collect their own data on a daily basis. In-app analytics for them to see what they've been catching, how they've been catching it, how it compares to last year and this year, what costs and expenses are associated with those trips, and what income they have been provided through those sales. ABALOBI Marketplace, which is our buyer-facing application where restaurants, retailers, buyers can order directly from fishermen, and again, that traceability chain enforced. Sustainable seafood, ethically sourced seafood is our value proposition to buyers. And then the one I'll be diving in, ABALOBI Monitor. So how was this tech designed? From our side, we start small. We start with a few communities, a few fishermen in each community, and we really aim for designing for trust. So in each level of our interaction with fishers, we aim to make it clear that they are the owners of their data, that they have influence over the tech. Every step of the process has been designed with small-scale fishermen, up to them sitting on our social enterprise board. So that's something that we're really proud of, is that we're a fisher-based organization. Real-time data feedback. So with any of our applications, be that Fisher, Marketplace, Monitor, our data flows in and can be visualized real-time in analytics dashboards, which I'll talk a little bit more about. We try to balance local ecological knowledge with mainstream data needs, and we build for self-sustainability. So one of the core foundations of what we do is when we enter into a community, we're concerned about the longevity of our activity in this community and how we can stay there for a long period of time and really have a good impact. So coming to Monitor, what does this look like? This is the problem statement that we've seen before, and specifically with ABALOBI Monitor tool that we've tried to address. First being that external parties, be that government, be that researchers, move into a community and request data from fishers. Fishers originate that data. these external parties aggregate the data at a community level, but very rarely, if ever, does it come back to the fishers. And if it does, it's on timescales of months to years. And so that was a big issue for us, because where are fishers seeing the value proposition in collecting their data? And so we want to go from this to this. We want fishers to have that clear ownership, have that clear value proposition in collecting their data, choose to aggregate it as a community, choose to discuss it as a community, and then also choose when and where they share their data and with who. And so that is really our key entry point into communities, is trying to build that real-time data feedback and that value proposition around data. So what does it look like? We have an app-based system where a community will select monitors or data collectors on the ground that they choose themselves. And these data collectors will be responsible for working with the community to collect that data via this application. It's very user-friendly, offline compatible, picture-based, multilingual. There's also a lot of training involved in setting this up in a community. It's quick, a few weeks to set up the tech. And everything is managed via an admin console. So this is where we add users, manage activity submissions done by users, see what's going on the ground, even if you are remotely based. The best part about what we do is that we have real-time data visualizations for the teams on the ground. So anytime you can click into the analytics section and view these generated dashboards. These are configured to context. So should a community want specific visualizations, we draw those up. So just a recap of what I've just said, we have the context configured application flowing into the monitor platform, moving into the data warehouse and lake. The idea here is that we can also then pull in data from different sources, right? So we have an integration with Kobo, which we use for impact measurement and monitoring. We have a Talent LMS system, which is our e-learning platform where we use to train fishers to use our technology, and our Lobi bot, which is a new rollout of an ABALOBI WhatsApp bot tool where we communicate with fishers on the ground on a daily basis. So all of this flows into this data lake and can be pulled into admin panel to be utilized as a real-time decision-making tool. So a few global case studies of where this is being used. Firstly, our sort of flagship community or flagship international community where this new tech was rolled out was in Madagascar. We were working with 3 communities in the southwest and currently drawing up a new community in Barren Isles. And really, this has been the largest design influence in what this should look like, because for the first time we were moving outside of South Africa and we realized, that a lot of the tech needs to be adapted. So we need multilingual, we need picture-based, we need etc. So it was really exciting to field test this, and currently we utilize this technology to fast-track visualization. So instead of a Blue Ventures team on the ground driving 8 hours in a 4x4 on dirt roads to get a physical paper logbook and take it back to the office and type into an Excel spreadsheet. For the first time, the monitors on the ground were clicking a button and seeing the visualizations pop up. So that was a really exciting development for us. In Comores, we'd been working with 2 sites in Anjouan, again, very rural communities. In this community, there are community-driven closures of reefs for octopus harvesting. And the use case we were trying to prove here is alongside historical data that we'd ingested from ODK and other tools that the Blue Ventures team on the ground were using prior, we're trying to prove to the community that by having these closures and monitoring before, during, and after, that there is a value proposition for communities to implement these community management measures. So some really exciting work ongoing there. Second last case study, Chale BMU, community-driven management objectives. They are currently trying to reduce the use of drag nets in the community, and so ongoing monitoring to make sure that the community can achieve those objectives and can track progress towards those objectives. Again, very bottom-up approach. This is not regulatory or compliance. This is community-driven approaches. And lastly, some utilization for the data in many of our communities in South Africa, on the West Coast. We've seen data, the fishers extracting the data from our system themselves and taking it to court to stop seismic surveys in their area, proving their value in food chain and food security. We've seen development of value proposition over time by allowing fishers, when they collect this mass amount of data, they can then take that to retailers, Ocean Basket, huge supply chain, by proving that they have the stock on hand, by proving the quality of their catches, they can then access these larger value chains. So that was in Strathspey on the south coast, and a community that we've had long-standing relationship with. Lastly, we want to reiterate a tech and touch approach. So this is not something where you can stick an app in a fisher's hand and say, go for it, you know. It's very much an approach where we integrate within the community. We advocate for long-term presence in that community. We advocate for working with partners who have had a long-term presence in a community and that have that trusted relationship. We work towards building long-term value propositions and having an intrinsic value proposition within the data, but also market access. And so that was really where we found the sweet spot in South Africa and what we're trying to replicate elsewhere. And then constantly treading the line between context, adaptation, and standardization. So of course you want context specific, you want to meet the needs of the community, but you want your tech to be adaptable, but also standardized. So something that you can compare data elements across communities, that you can share learnings across communities, and that was the exciting part for us. So thank you, and do reach out if you have any questions.